To Americana. I'm your host, Willie Montague. Tonight is definitely going to be one for the record. We're tearing down the curtains, the truth they hide, the deals, the power plays, the lives being shaped without your say. We're exposing it all. Fast, sharp, and definitely unfiltered. You definitely don't want to go anywhere. Stay tuned. This is Americana. All right, you definitely want to sit back for this. I'm pretty sure you already watched it, but we're getting some hot topics. We're going to be talking about the Epstein's birthday book, and then we're going to be talking about Gen Z versus the state. I don't know if you see what happened in Nepal, but it's a deadly fight for digital freedom. And then right here in America, surveillance. They're watching you and controlling you. Then we have a very special guest with us today, David Dambroso, all the way from Oklahoma. This is someone that does not mind saying it like it is. He's going to keep it real and relevant. So stay tuned. We're getting ready to get into Willie's Take. Well, as I always like to say, this is the part where I get to rant. People say the system is broken. It's not broken at all. It's rigged. Rigged to keep you quiet. Rigged to keep you working while they keep winning. They sell you freedom, but chain you with surveillance. They sell you safety, but strip your privacy. They sell you truth, but feed you propaganda. Look around you. Every click tracked. Every call monitored. Every move is logged. And here's the lie. It's for your protection. That's the biggest lie I've ever heard. No, it's for their power. They think you'll stay distracted, scrolling your life away, as some of us do. But history doesn't wait for cowards. It belongs to those who rise up and say, we see you, we're not afraid, and your game is definitely over. So we have a very special guest with us today, David Dambroso, a well-known political consultant based in Oklahoma, and we're getting ready to break down this breaking story, which is Epstein's birthday book. So welcome to the show, David.
I'm glad we can get the fake news out of the way first thing.
Well, Congress just released the Jeffrey Epstein so-called birthday book, a leather-bound album stuffed with notes and bizarre tributes from billionaires, politicians, and celebrities. And it's not just about a man's birthday. So the elites gathered together back some years ago and decided to write some notes. But this is what I have to say. I've seen some of the pictures and things that's going on with this, and it has a picture of a, less than modest woman with a little note from President Trump. So my question to you is, what is happening with this? Is this really where the elite gets immunity? And where do you find this ties in when you have this birthday book? Because remember, before you answer, remember that this did not happen. The Epstein files is not existing. There was nothing there. And now all of a sudden there's an Epstein birthday book with a lovely signature from President Trump. So what's really happening with this whole big reveal of the Epstein birthday book?
I mean, American trust in media was at an all-time low a decade ago, and now it's even lower than that. So that's for good reason. The media's really earned this. We had this Trump-Russia hoax. Trump wasn't even out of the country at the time. He was allegedly getting urinated on by these Russian prostitutes. He's a famous germaphobe. I mean, none of this stuff ever happened. And the intelligence agencies here in the United States knew that this was false. They knew that it was opposition research conducted by Hillary Clinton's campaign. And so, I mean, how do we know this is even real, right? What's the evidence? Okay,
well, this is the first thing, but
some picture.
I kind of dropped, but what makes it not real? And for those that know this, or my stance, but I want us to really look at this and that why has it become such a talking point where we're now trying to pass it away? We had so many people on the right side that was, yes, this is getting ready to be the big reveal, until we saw Elon Musk say, by the way, Trump is in that list, and all of a sudden it flipped. And then you had the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who literally said that he was an informant for Epstein. So does the list exist or it doesn't exist? Was he an informant for a make-believe list? Was he a or make-believe scenario? What, like, what's happening? Is he or not?
This is the danger of the boy who cried wolf, right, with the media. So now we don't know what's true and what's not true. You know, this Epstein list thing, it was released in different forms, but the most recent list that got released was just old information rehashed. So to me, I kind of think of it like in the Iraq War invasion. We announced in the United States we had interest to invade Iraq in November of 2002. We didn't invade until March of 2003. And we said, now, Saddam, don't hide those weapons of mass destruction if you have any, because we'll look real bad for removing you from power and, taking over your country. It's kind of ridiculous. So you had the Biden administration sit on all this Epstein stuff for 4 years while Trump was out of office. And to imagine that any information that led back to Trump wouldn't have been released then is kind of ridiculous. But then also to imagine that they left that information unmolested is kind of ridiculous.
Well,
you would think they would have done a lot of.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to come up. We're getting ready to talk about Gen Z. Americana is getting ready to take a trip to Nepal, but don't stay anywhere. We're getting ready to take a quick commercial break. All right, you guys, welcome back from commercial break. We have a very special guest with us, David Dambroso, all the way from Oklahoma. Now, we're getting ready to dive in this. Americana is getting ready to take a quick trip over to Nepal because the government has banned 26 major social media platforms: Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, YouTube. Their excuse: misuse. But the Gen Z rose up and they started protesting, and now at least 19 people have been killed and over 100 injured. Why are we even having this discussion? Because we know how much it means for Gen Z to be in their phone and near a social media platform. What does shutting down social media lead to? More unrest, not less. And so that's the question for you, David. What are we going to see, or are we going to see this come to America's door next? Because we know how much they were coming after TikTok. We know how they've been coming after different platforms and trying to basically squeeze our First Amendment right into their own ideologies. So what is getting ready to happen? Because we see it happen in Nepal. And one thing about Gen Z, they don't rest. And so what do you think is getting ready to happen? And why do you think that the government hasn't already in our place stood up and said we need to really start protecting our First Amendment? Because I do see something like this actually happening, because Gen Z is just crazy about social media. So what do you think?
Well, JFK once said that if you take away the people's ability to have a peaceful discourse, that they will then have a violent discourse. And so this is what's happening without the First Amendment. You know, the United States is the only country that has a First Amendment. We've seen restrictions of speech all throughout the quote unquote free world. In the UK, you can be put in prison for simply citing what a UK judge states in his ruling, which is insane.
But let me ask you a
So,
question. So now most people would say that their First Amendment is their ability to be able to burn the flag if they want to, because that's a First Amendment expression. So does that cross the line? Because what I see is technology is exposing corruption, David, is exposing corruption. And we do have corruption no matter what current administration we have. There is corruption. And I believe that we're seeing the exposure through social media. And so we see this administration in many ways. They're coming and people said all they're doing is signing these executive orders, and they're just basically putting us in confound. So what's the difference between burning the flag and what's happening with here? Where does it draw the line where it is my First Amendment right? As you said, in the United States, we have a First Amendment, but most people say my First Amendment right, if I want to burn the United States flag as an expression of my distrust for my government, I should.
well, the Supreme Court has ruled that burning the flag is speech, and that's now case law. So that's up to the court's determination. But this actually gets into a lot of issues. It gets into property rights, really, because a corporation owns the intellectual property to these online platforms. And so the only way I can see the United States government or a country with laws extremely similar to the United States government banning social media platforms is if those platforms exist outside of the host nation. So you couldn't, for instance, ban Facebook here in the United States because that's an American company with American property rights, American incorporation. But you could perhaps ban TikTok because that's a Chinese company.
But when,
so,
see,
you know, what's going on
to that point,
when
real fast, I'll let you answer, but when does it draw the line? Because, you know, we may separate and say, oh, this is, you know, this is this country, this is our state, this is our laws, this is, you know, intellectual property rights. But we see so many times where it seems like even American citizens are being stripped of their First Amendment rights, not just the freedom of speech, but the First Amendment covers 5 different areas that are our rights just as everyday United States citizens. And that's the major question for me. You know, our censorship is colliding with real world corruption. And we see it. I mean, go back to the Epstein file. You know, these are things that people are saying, this is my right. I want to stand. And then you got the government said, hey, leave it alone. It's just a hoax. It's the Democrat thing. But when did it shift? One day it's a Republican talking point, next day it's a Democrat talking point, and then here we are now told us to muzzle our mouths as our First Amendment.
That's a good point. The First Amendment covers freedom of association, free expression of religion, free expression of speech. Yeah, the Epstein thing, going back to that just a little bit, it's a bit of a political football on each side, Republican or Democrat. Whenever it's politically expedient, each side will use it as a cudgel against the other. But I think as a brief aside, Trump is clean because if he weren't, they would have used it in the 2024 election against Trump. The Biden administration would have used that to put Kamala over the top, and they did not.
Now let me play the you know, and I hate using this term, the devil advocate, but let me play this for a minute. Would they have
play the part of the devil? Go ahead.
would they have really used this in 2024, or would it also mean that their individuals that they were protecting also during 2024 election cycle would also come to ruin? So I know people use that as like, oh, they would have done it in 2024, or is so many people in that list that would have damaged the whole system. Our whole governmental system could have been destroyed at that particular moment. And now they're like, hey, you know, to hell with it. You know, if it's Trump, you'll throw him out with the bathwater and let's show you just really what's going on. Or is someone else going to be Hillary Clinton?
I definitely see that position. But remember, Epstein was committing these crimes pretty notoriously for the last 2 decades, and it was the Trump administration that prosecuted him. He was allowed to have free reign. And, you know, Bill Clinton was riding on Epstein's jet to the Lolita Island up to 26 times. Trump hardly ever was with that man and cut ties with him 2 decades ago when Epstein's his crimes were made public. So, yeah, I do think that people would be really surprised to find out who was doing business with Epstein. And I think some mainstream personalities are on that list and perhaps big donors to both parties. We'll see. Maybe that won't get released. But Well, I think what you see happening in Nepal is very serious, and I think we can never say it could never happen here, because the government has done this in run around censorship, and this is what they did. So the government can't censor free speech of citizens. But what happens is you've got these people that are former FBI, former CIA, and they're on the board of directors of Twitter, of Google, of Facebook. They have permanent pensions and permanent security clearances. They're getting security briefings from the government now, and they're making policy to limit speech on Facebook, on Twitter. Elon got rid of many of them.
Well, stay tuned.
And on Google.
We got to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to follow with a question. So I don't want you to go anywhere. We have with us David Dambroso, all the way from Oklahoma. So stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to be talking about American surveillance. They're watching you. They're controlling you. Stay tuned. You're watching Americana. All right. Well, this one is about American surveillance. Welcome back. They're watching you. They're controlling you. It's not even Halloween, and I'm already spooked. The fact that this is even a thing we have to discuss, that we as free First Amendment citizens are being watched by our government. Every text, every email, every swipe, every camera you walk past, the American surveillance state has grown bigger than ever. And it's not just about national security anymore. From facial recognition in airports to data tracking on your phone, privacy isn't disappearing. David, we have a surveillance issue. Even with red light cameras, what are your thoughts, and why is big government, even with this current administration, why is big government lording over us, and how do we stop them from getting in our business?
Well, I have to go back to the Constitution, and there's been a massive violation of the Bill of Rights in regards to public and individual safety, and there are many workarounds based on technology and in the public domain. So that's the answer. And the answer really is found in our primary system. We've got Republicans in name only, that get into office and they want to violate the Fourth Amendment. They think the government should be able to go through your records and your banking records without really any respect for your individual rights that are guaranteed, codified, enshrined in the Constitution. We've got a big thing with the 703, with FISA. Obviously, there have been huge secret court warranting abuses. Even the President of the United States is not immune to this. They were spying on his campaign when he was a candidate in 2016 with warrantless surveillance. And, that still has implications today. So the answer is really the primary system. You've got to get constitutionalist Republicans and not
David,
these rhino
I'm going to say you're absolutely right. And I say, and I know we like to excuse sometimes different administration, but I believe that they have an opportunity to make something big. We talked about Section 203, I believe it is, I'm correct, at that time. But let's stay tuned. We have something to hear from our lovely former Vice President Kamala Harris.
I've served on the Senate Intelligence Committee. I have been in classified briefings, and I'm telling you, don't be on the train using your ear pods and thinking somebody can't listen to your conversation. I'm just telling you, that's a little bit more secure.
So here in this clip, she's talking about the fact they were asking her why was she using the wired earbuds, and she was saying here, you know, people are like, I can't believe she's actually saying this. She's exposing what's going on, and I'm actually kind of shocked myself, but not shocked because we know that, as we like to call it, the laughing hyena. But we're not going to go there. But nonetheless, I like to say this: like, if you hear this from the former Vice President of the United States saying that there's a problem, and we're moving quick here, just a few minutes, David. But I want you to answer this: if we see this, if every move is monitored, are we truly free? Let's end with that deep thought and that question to you: are we truly free if everything we're doing is being monitored? When does it stop, and why did it even begin?
Well, we have a constitutional right to privacy. Of course, government will then try to argue that you're in the public domain somehow, but obviously you're not in the public domain in your emails, in your banking records. And you've got people like the Republican Appropriations Chair, Tom Cole, saying, no, government can just look through your banking records without a warrant. And so this is a big problem, and the only answer is to address it with the primary system. And unfortunately, it's a tiny minority of the American registered voter base that participates in the only real election. The only real election is your primary, April, May, June, before the November election. 83% or more of all congressional districts are decided. What do I mean by that? Whichever party has a greater party registration in 83% of those districts that are non-toss-ups, that are non-battlegrounds, that person of the
we're gonna bring it back. Don't go anywhere. You guys, that is great. The 3 stories: one truth, power unchecked, and freedom erased. We went from Epstein to Nepal all the way down to surveillance. This has been definitely a hot topic show today. So that's a wrap, you guys. I thank you for David Dambroso being with us. Thank you for tuning in out there. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, only on AFRO TV. Until then, stay informed, stay Americana.